you'd miss so much. He's a scholar of boxing, and there's probably not a man alive who knows more about the all-time greats. He could talk to you about like Harry Greb and Jack Johnson and Stanley Ketchel. He talk to you about guys that like you never heard before.
Even the
Decided from this moment on to recognize me as the scholar of boxing. That's it, Tim. The rope when he got hit with a beautiful shot back and forth. That's the right. That's the right. Damn, leans back and forth with a right hand. People don't know shit about boxing at all. Did you get what you were looking for?
This motherfucker don't miss.
No, he's fucking good.
That motherfucker don't miss, man.
He's good.
In the heat of battle, he don't miss.
No.
In the heat of controversy, he don't miss.
No.
You'd miss so much. He's a scholar of boxing, and there's probably not a man alive who knows more about the all-time greats. He could talk to you about like Harry Greb and Jack Johnson and Stanley Ketchel. He talk to you about guys that like you never heard before.
even the
Decided from this moment on to recognize me as the scholar of boxing. That's it, Tim. The rope when he got hit with a beautiful shot back and forth. That's the right. That's the right. Damn, leans back and forth with a right hand. People don't know shit about boxing at all. Did you get what you were looking for?
This motherfucker don't miss.
No, he's fucking good.
That motherfucker don't miss, man.
He's good.
In the heat of battle, he don't miss.
No.
In the heat of controversy, he don't miss.
No.
And if I'm wrong for that, I don't give a fuck. Straight up.
I've been about mine.
Today I'm going to show you the family tree of Donald Trump, the 45th President of the United States. We have done his family previously, but since he's running for president again and is in the news a lot, I thought it would be a good opportunity to update and expand his chart. Let's start with the surname Trump, which is related to the words trumpet and drum. These words in turn go back to the word triumph, which in Roman times referred to a special type of victory parade. For many years, Donald Trump claimed that his paternal ancestors came from Sweden. In fact, this is what he stated in his 1987 book, The Art of the Deal. However, we now know that his paternal ancestors actually came from Germany, from a small town in Bavaria called Karlstadt. It was there that his great-great-grandfather, Johann Paul Trump, lived. Interestingly, Johann Paul Trump is also an ancestor of the Heinz family, known for their famous ketchup. You see, Johann Paul's daughter Charlotte married a Heinz, and her son John immigrated to the US, where his son Henry went on to found the Heinz Ketchup Company. But we're more concerned with Johann Paul's son, Johannes, who had a son named Christian, who married Katharina Kober. They were the parents of Friedrich, who at the young age of 16 moved to the United States in order to escape military service in Germany. He initially worked in New York as a barber, but then in 1891 moved to Seattle, which at the time was still a frontier town. There he bought and ran a bar, which also operated as a brothel. Several years later, during the Klondike Gold Rush, he moved up to the Yukon, where he continued to sell liquor and access to prostitutes, becoming rich in the process. Then in 1901, he ended up back in his hometown in Germany, which is where he met Elizabeth Christ. They married the next year and initially moved to New York, but then back to Bavaria, where they decided to settle. However, when the Bavarian government found out that Friedrich had been a draft dodger, they banished him from the country. So the couple had to settle in New York after all, which is where their 3 children were born. In New York, Friedrich invested his ill-gotten gains from out west into real estate. But then in 1918, at the age of 49, he mysteriously dropped dead. His family would later learn that he was one of the first cases of the Spanish flu, which went on to become the deadliest pandemic in history. During the 1920s, Elizabeth continued to run the family business under the name E. Trump, and then later E. Trump and Son. that son being her eldest, Fred Trump. Her other son, John Trump, instead went on to become a scientist at MIT. I'll come back to John Trump a little later. For now, I want to point out Betty Trump, Fred and John's older sister. She married a William Walter and had a son named John Walter, who became the mayor of a small village on Long Island. Fred, however, is the one that we're most interested in, being that he was the father of Donald Trump. Once he turned 21, he basically took over the family business, eventually marrying Mary Ann McLeod, whose family I'll talk about a bit later. But like both his father and his son, Fred Trump is a controversial figure, known for his questionable business practices. But before I get into it, let me say up front, talking about the Trump family is difficult. Former President Donald Trump is by far one of the most controversial figures of our time. Just last week, he was found guilty in a New York court on 34 felony charges. Reactions in the wake of this continue to be nothing short of polarizing. This is why I asked Ground News specifically to sponsor this video. Their platform combines, while others emphasize topics like back to the Trump family. It was during World War II that Fred Trump started telling people that he was Swedish instead of German, since Germans were, for obvious reasons, very unpopular in those days. It was also during the war that Fred Trump started to make really big money by using federal subsidies to build housing for naval shipyard workers, and then later for returning veterans. But pretty soon it became clear to the US government that Trump was making too much money and was making it too quickly. The feds investigated him twice and found out that basically what he would do is overestimate the cost of a project, get federal money for it, and then use the profit for other investments. Technically, this wasn't illegal, so he was never charged. However, he was later sued for racial discrimination, for supposedly going out of his way to avoid renting to blacks and other minorities. The folk singer Woody Guthrie even wrote a song about Fred called Old Man Trump. Anyhow, the case was eventually settled, with Trump's company agreeing to better follow the Fair Housing Act. Okay, let me now tell you about Donald Trump's mother and the McLeod side of the family. They came from the Outer Hebrides, which are a group of islands that are a part of Scotland. The earliest Trump ancestor that we have a photo of is his great-grandfather Alexander McLeod, son of a William McLeod. He and his wife Annie were the parents of Malcolm McLeod, who married Mary Ann Smith. As you can see from the photos, they were simple folk who worked as tenant farmers in order to eke out a living. They had 10 children, the youngest of whom was Mary Ann. Mary Ann, Donald Trump's mother, was born in Scotland and spoke Gaelic as her first language. But at age 18, she immigrated to the US, where a few years later, she met and married Fred Trump. Together, they had 5 children. The eldest, Mary Ann, worked as a lawyer and then eventually became a judge. In fact, she was appointed by Bill Clinton to the US Court of Appeals, which is just one step down from the Supreme Court. Donald's older brother, Fred Jr., was originally slated to take over the Trump business empire, but he opted to become a pilot instead. He unfortunately also became an alcoholic, and this contributed to his early death at age 42. He did, however, have 2 children, Fred Trump III and Mary Trump. Because Fred Jr. died before Fred Sr., these two.
Excuse me. Hold on. It was not Switzerland. Sweden. Excuse me. But goddamn, Donald Trump is definitely immigrant, and he's taken advantage of his family has taken advantage of the government for years and built their entire wealth off the government. He's exactly what people say that they hate out of immigrants. And then not only that, not only is Donald Trump a product of immigrants from Germany that came and took advantage of the government, but also his wife.
President Trump's in-laws slipping in and out of the Manhattan federal building where they took the oath of U.S. citizenship. Sources tell ABC News that First Lady Melania Trump sponsored her Slovenian-born parents, Victor and Amalia Nobbs.
His wife is an immigrant who brought her parents over here and got to skip the line. It's crazy that even within immigration, you still find racism. The mere fact that Donald Trump is over here and got to be the president of the United States, right? Writing in his book that he was that he was Swedish, that he actually wasn't German to lie, right? To cosplay, as y'all call it, right? And y'all say that Kamala Harris is a DEI hire. Donald Trump's the fucking DEI hire, if you ask me. She has experience in all 3 branches of government. Donald Trump does not. His only experience is being rich and white. His only fucking qualification, and black people love him. They love this guy. They love him. They can't even tell me why they love him. They just love Donald Trump. But I know why, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But we finna get back to this presentation. Kamala Harris, right? Kamala Harris, a lot of people question Kamala Harris' blackness, right? Kamala Harris is not black. Blase. And like I said, I already know how to get to black people's heart and soul. All you have to do is let a white man say what I've been saying the entire time. If I argue with them, they'll say, hey man, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Hey, shut up. Let me hear what this white man got to say on the subject. Because they taught that white is right. And they've always been told how to be from Massa. That Massa taught them how to be. So yeah, they accept that. They're okay with that. That's not abnormal. Obama talking down to them, are telling them to be better, is scolding them. White person is considered normal, but we'll get to that. Let's address Kamala Harris's blackness.
First off, I want to say I did not want to make this video, at least not yet. You see, I already made a family tree video about Kamala Harris 4 years ago. And although it could definitely use an update, I wanted to wait until after the election results to perhaps redo it. However, recently there's been a string of videos put out by Candace Owens that have been getting millions of views. In them, she insinuates a bunch of things about Kamala Harris's family tree that, quite frankly, are not true. But people are believing Owens and starting to repeat her claims as if they are fact. So, since Useful Charts is one of the main channels here on YouTube that talks about family trees, I felt that it was sort of my responsibility to weigh in. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to go through Kamala Harris's full tree right now. I'll still do that later this year if she wins. But for now, I want to focus on her father's side of the tree and answer the question, is Kamala Harris black? The renewed interest in Harris's tree started with a statement made by Janet Jackson during a recent interview. When asked about Kamala Harris, Jackson said, and I quote, "She's not black. That's what I heard. Her father's white. I was told that they discovered her father was white." Now, first off, it's obvious that Janet Jackson has never seen a photo of Donald Harris, Kamala Harris's father, because there's no way that anyone would call this man straight up white. Here's some more photos of him at various points in his life. I mean, you could perhaps claim that he looks mixed race or maybe part white, but I don't think anyone in their right mind would say that the person you're looking at on screen right now is a white man. So, rightly so, the media jumped all over Jackson's comments. But for some reason, Candace Owens decided to defend Jackson by doing a deep dive into Donald Harris's genealogy. So let's take a look. First off, like I say, it's quite obvious that Kamala's father is a black man. Maybe not 100% black, but definitely black enough that that's how he's going to be perceived as he goes through life. Remember, race is just a social construct. What's actually more important is racialization, meaning how society perceives you and treats you based on how you look. So, for example, Frederick Douglass, Booker T. Washington, and Bob Marley all had white fathers, but all three of them were considered black, never white. Okay, let me introduce you to Donald Harris's parents. According to Donald himself, his father was Oscar Joseph Harris, and his mother was Beryl Christie Finnegan. However, in his article, Reflections of a Jamaican Father, Donald states that the two most influential women in his life were his two grandmothers, Christiana Brown and Iris Finnegan. Now, it's unclear whether or not he was actually raised by these two grandmothers, but that certainly seems like a possibility because, as Candace Owen points out, there is no record of a marriage between Oscar and Beryl. However, there is a record of a marriage between Oscar and a white woman named Vioris Cambridge when Donald was 14, as well as a marriage between Beryl and a man named Lawford Newland when Donald was 6. So either Oscar and Beryl divorced very early on in Donald's life, or they were simply never married at all. Now, the first mistake that Candace Owens makes is that she claims that Beryl died in 1960, based on this death registration here. If true, she says, that would mean that Kamala Harris is lying about this photo, which shows her with her grandmother Beryl in 1990. But here's the thing. Harris's grandmother didn't die in 1960. She died in 1995. This is the correct death registration. We know that this one is the correct one for several reasons. First and foremost is the fact that the Beryl on this registration is named Beryl Finnegan, which was the grandmother's last name, whereas the Beryl on this one is named Beryl Christie. Now, the reason why Candace got confused is because Harris's grandmother Beryl had Christie as a middle name, but the form asks for the full name. I think it's very unlikely that they would put the first and middle name rather than the first and last name. Also, this Beryl died in 1960 at the age of 39, meaning that she was born in 1921, whereas this Beryl died in 1995 at the age of 81, meaning that she was born in 1914. That's a pretty big difference that can be settled very easily by looking at Grandma Beryl's birth certificate. Even Candace Owen admits that this is the correct birth certificate for Grandma Beryl. At first glance, it seems to indicate that the birth was in 1917, but that 7 could also be a 4, which would make it 1914, fitting perfectly with what we'd expect based on the correct death certificate. But there's more. Candace makes a big deal over this name here, Douglas Finnegan, the person who reported the death. She says, we don't know of any Douglas Finnegan in the family. Well, that may be, but her last name was in fact Finnegan. So it's not hard to imagine that there was some nephew or cousin out there named Douglas Finnegan, who was in charge of reporting the death. In contrast, this one lists Muriel Murray. We don't know of any family members with the last name Murray. So that one makes even less sense. Finally, there's the fact that this Beryl died in St. Anne Parish, which is where Grandma Beryl was known to have lived her entire life. Whereas this one has her being born in St. Anne, but dying in Kingston. Now, the second mistake that Candace Owen makes is that she claims, or at least strongly insinuates, that Donald Harris's real mother is actually Vioris Cambridge, and that the woman in this photo is just the help that Kamala was passing off as her grandmother in order to seem more black. This is where things start to get really ridiculous, because Vioris was born in 1927 and Donald in 1938. So are we to believe that Vioris had Donald when she was only 11? Oh, wait, I get it. She wants to see Donald Harris's birth certificate, because obviously he's lying. Gee, that sounds familiar. What I think is really going on is that Candace Owens is just throwing out a bunch of crazy stuff because she knows that people who want a reason to hate Kamala Harris will believe it. But that's just plain irresponsible, to put it lightly. Look, I take family trees seriously, so let me show you what I've learned and what I think the best explanation is for all the facts. Let's start with Joseph Alexander Harris, Oscar Harris's father. He's the most recent fully white person on Kamala Harris's family tree. So out of her 8 great-grandparents in total, only one of them was white. That's actually about average for black people from the Americas. Then there's Oscar Harris's mother, Christiana Brown. She's the one that Donald Harris said was a descendant of Hamilton Brown, the Irish slave owner. But she's obviously mixed race, so what this means is that a white slaver probably impregnated an enslaved black woman at some point. Or at best, it means that a descendant of a white slaver married a descendant of an enslaved black woman. Either way, Christiana Brown had ancestors on both sides of the equation, and therefore it's extremely misleading to call her offspring the descendants of a slave-owning family without telling the full story. According to Donald Harris, Christiana Brown ran a dry goods store in a small town, so it's not like she was super wealthy or anything. I'm also not sure whether or not Christiana Brown was ever married to Joseph Harris. I'm still looking into it, but it appears that Joseph Harris had a white wife named Caroline Beckford, which means that Oscar was either the result of an affair or perhaps even something worse. What we do know is that Oscar's birth certificate lists him simply as Oscar Brown, with no mention of his father. So it definitely sounds like Christiana Brown was a single mother. Interestingly, Oscar didn't change his name to Oscar Joseph Harris until a few years prior to marrying Vioris, which seems to indicate that he was perhaps trying to distance himself from his black roots. If Joseph Harris was fully white and Christiana Brown was half black, half white, that would mean that Oscar Harris was 75% white. So he may have been able to pass. It does seem that Oscar and Vioris did have children together, children that would be the half-siblings of Donald Harris. For example, Candace Owens found this son, who is listed on Oscar Harris's death certificate as the one who reported the death. This means that if Oscar and Viola did have a bunch of white passing children, then Donald Harris might have been the black half-brother that no one really talked about. Now, I'm not saying this for certain. Donald has decided to keep these details private, and I respect that. I'm just saying that there's more than one way to do the guesswork. Now, while Oscar Harris seems to have been only around 25% black, it would appear that Beryl Finnegan was around 75% black. This is because her father, Patrick Finnegan Jr., was mixed race, and her mother, Iris Finnegan, maiden name Allen, was fully black. There's a record from around 1900 of a priest from St. Anne's Parish saying that there was a mixed-race couple in the area, and that the husband's name was Patrick Finnegan Sr., originally from Ireland. He was almost certainly referring to this couple here, the parents of Patrick Finnegan Jr. So what does all this mean? Well, it means that if Oscar Harris was 1/4 black and Beryl Finnegan was 3/4 black, that would make Donald Harris, DNA-wise, 4/8 black. Or to put it more simply, half white, half black. So that puts him in the same category as Frederick Douglass, Booker T. Washington, and Bob Marley, as well as Drake, Lenny Kravitz, etc. So in other words, Donald Harris is black. And considering that he married an Indian woman, as in from India, that means that Kamala Harris is part black and part Indian, which is what she's always said. Sure, technically, we could say that approximately 25% of her ancestry is European, 25% is sub-Saharan African, and 50% is South Asian. But when it comes down to it, that's not what matters. Like I said earlier, race doesn't really exist, but racialization definitely does. And the fact of the matter is that Kamala Harris has been racialized as either black or brown or both her entire life, never white. So there's your answer. Yes, Kamala Harris is black, and she's also Indian. You can be both. I'll continue to look into her tree.
Color. Hello. God damn, I don't know what, man. I've been over here cooking on mute. What's up, Miss 702? Man, I could do this shit again. Hold on. God damn. Deep breath, deep breath. Got the devil busy. Devil busy. All right. So basically, I was saying this. I said, in America, right? In America, when they had their enlightenment, when Immanuel Kant and a bunch of those guys, right? When they had their enlightenment era, that was basically when they started to do racialization. And when they were doing racialization, right? They were trying to exclude everybody else from the resources. That's all that was about. The one drop rule, all of that stuff, right? Um, when they wanted to exclude black people from it, they came up with the system, so they rigged the rules because it was Anglo-Saxon that was considered white at first. Then they started accepting other people into there, the Jewish people, the Irish people. The Irish people was the police force. That's another story. But they started accepting other white people in it to maintain the dominance and exclude everybody else from the resources because that's what it was all about. Then you have a generation of the people who were on the bad end of that, right? Coming in and gatekeeping for the shit that they didn't make up, which is race. That makes no fucking sense to me whatsoever. Like I said, they get their talking points from other white people. Sky News, Fox News. Rush Limbaugh is on the radio saying Kamala Harris don't got slave blood in her. What the fuck? I don't know about y'all, but that shit makes me cringe. The mere fact that white people are up there who came up with the system telling us, well, you know, these people, y'all shouldn't accept them in the system that we created to exclude you from shit because they don't got slave blood. What? And then they criticize Kamala Harris for her ancestors being slave owners. They don't, and they clearly don't know who the fuck Frederick Douglass is. They clearly don't know the story of Frederick Douglass or any of that shit. They clearly are just talking out their ass, right? But it's so funny to me because they said the exact same thing about Barack Obama. They said Barack Obama didn't blacks who went to the American experience. Oh, so now y'all the experts at understanding the black struggle, right? Whenever we tell y'all Black Lives Matter, whenever we out here marching and doing shit for civil rights, is you what shot shoe you wear? Here's some bootstraps. Pull yourself up about it. Like, you can't make this shit up. White people understanding black people all of a sudden. So wait a minute, y'all are aware of what we going through. Because the moment Barack Obama and black candidates try to excel in the country, y'all automatically became the experts on the black man's plight and the black man's struggle. Like she did everything but put on a fucking dashiki, you know what I mean? And say, the black man this, the black man, like, what, you can't make this shit up. That's crazy. And we would also call that pandering, right? Because black people would always say, hey man, you know, Kamala Harris is out there pandering to the African Americans, and I just don't like it. But the elephant in the room, right? They talk shit about Barack Obama not being black. He had to show his birth certificate, etc. But black people stood by him, right? These same black people that talk about FBAs not accepting, we gatekeeping and doing all this shit. They accepted Barack Obama, but they would not accept Kamala. What's the difference? The difference is It ain't that quarter that Kamala had, a less quarter that Kamala has than Barack Obama of blackness in her blood. It's because Kamala Harris is a woman. No other reason whatsoever. And that is the elephant in the room. The reason why people do not want to vote for Kamala Harris is because Kamala Harris is a woman. Simple as that. It's simple as that. They moved the goalposts. Oh, what is she going to do for black people? She unveils her black policy. Oh, that ain't going to work. Oh, it's like nothing Kamala could do would be right for them because they don't see a woman being fit. And they were taught that from the same people who last name they wear, which is white people, the same people that made this the system up, right, to discriminate them from resources, because interracial marriage was illegal. And it was illegal because they did not want black people to receive anything. And the punishment for that was the one drop rule. If you have one drop of black blood, you are discriminate, you're not entitled for any of the wealth building tools to get you to the next generation. They specifically did that, right? It was by design. And like I said, black men, and this is black men they don't get it. They don't get it. I hear black men talk about how they need to be leaders, how they should be accepted, and blah, 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 and this and that. And they don't even know what it means to lead. And the reason why I know that they don't is because I don't know. I don't know everything. See, the difference is I don't have a problem saying I don't know. I'm learning. But see, they act like they got all the fucking answers. Who they talk about Ronald Reagan in a drug war. Who sold them fucking drugs? They got ripped from their family. Who was that? Was that black man? Or was that Mexican man? Was that white man? Who was that? That was black man, correct? So like I said, I'm not fit to give no fucking grace, because when Barack Obama's out there talking to black people like he's talking to them, y'all say that he's scolding them. And he didn't even say anything bad.
We're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you? Because you think that's a sign of strength? Because that's what being a man is? Putting women down? That's not acceptable.
Now, when Barack Obama said that, right, everybody was mad. How dare Barack Obama say that? How dare he talk about even the black women, because it's instinctive in them to be defensive over black men. They came to the rescue like, nah, Barack Obama shouldn't talk down to them. But it's like, I don't consider that talking down. Barack Obama has caught wind of the same stupid, ignorant shit that I've caught wind of. And he knows the only reason they don't want to vote for Kamala Harris is because she's a woman. That angers him, because it's like, wait a minute, what? Let me tell you how crazy this shit is, right? Black people have more, Kamala Harris has less favorability amongst black registered Democrats than Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. I'm not making that shit up. That is insane to me.
The fight for black voters is heating up with diametrically opposed approaches from the presidential campaigns. Kamala Harris appeared on Charlemagne the God's radio show. Now, Harris is leading Trump by a big margin in registered black voters in the NBC News poll, but it's a smaller lead than Joe Biden won with in 2020 and much smaller than Obama's in 2008.
You cannot be fucking serious. Amongst registered Democrats who sit and whine about the fucking drug war and how the man took black men out of the home strategically. Those people, you know who was responsible for that bill? Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. Matter of fact, when Joe Biden ran, they called him Jim Crow Joe. You cannot make this shit up. Kamala Harris is less favorable than that guy? You can't make this shit up. Black men are so fucking lost. It's not even funny anymore. I used to laugh at this shit like, yeah, man, we lost. It's not even fucking funny anymore. They don't know which way to go. They're like the crazy people in the same asylum trying to escape and formulate plans. They all got the best plan in the world, but don't got no fucking plan and no results either. Ain't got nothing to go off of, but swear to God that they the fucking experts of everything. They gatekeeping blackness. They telling women they need to traditionally be how they were during the time where it was so great for black people. It's crazy to me. See, And another elephant in the room is black men not only have been taught what a man is by a white person, right? And let's make no mistake about it. America is ran exactly like Rome was as far as democracy. In Rome, they were sleeping with little boys. They would take little boys from their family, make them do work for them, and they would make them like a sexual slave, right? And homosexuality was normalized in Roman times. These are, and we got all our laws and everything from the Romans, right? We try to build our empire just like the Romans. So those are the people that we model our society off of. And you're gonna take from them, those people, on what it's like to be a fucking man. What is it like to be a man? What is the answer to that? Because like I said, if we in a worse state than we got more people in jail than when Martin Luther King was out there marching for civil rights. We have failed as leaders, and we still want to lead. That's crazy. Black people, black men specifically, don't want to relinquish leadership, even though they're driving us over the cliff. They want grace and excuses whenever you mention these things. Well, what about the state of this? What about black marriage? You know what I mean? What about, black women being the last married and first divorced? All this stuff that leaders are supposed to care about. They don't do that. They only show up to wag their finger like their oppressor taught them and tell black women how to be. And then won't even show up and support them. This shit is crazy to me. Like I said, when Barack Obama is doing telling black men what he sees, right? Because he's looking at the poll and he's saying, wait a minute, Hillary Clinton is more popular, the crimes bill lady, than Kamala Harris. Joe Biden, which y'all call Jim Crow Joe, is more popular amongst registered Democrat black males. What the fuck? It's only because she's a woman. That's the only glaring thing. So you would vote over, you would vote for somebody who you said didn't have your best interest, which is Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton, and responsible for the crime bill over Kamala, who has nothing to do with that. Like, what is the glaring thing? What is the obvious thing that's jumping off the board to you? It's because she's a fucking woman. That's where his frustration came in at. But the funniest part about that, right, is black people came out outraged, Obama talking down to black people. And it's like, So when Barack Obama points out the obvious, he's talking down to black people. What do you call this shit right here?
Any African American or Hispanic, and you know how well I'm doing there, that votes for Kamala, you got to have your head examined, because they are really screwing you. They are really screwing you. Right?
You heard that, white man. Anybody who's voting for Kamala, you got to have your fucking head examined, because that's how white people talk to black people. Because black people consider it normal for white people to tell us how to live and how to be. Shit, a large percentage of us still wear their last names of the of the slave master who owned us, right? Because we're a kidnapped people, right? A people, a victim of sexual assault. That's what we are. But it like I said, it's upsetting. It's upsetting. Listen, if you want to vote for Donald Trump, vote for Donald Trump. But we not fit to pretend like Kamala's this horrible monster that came out of nowhere, that's non-black, that's fit to just come and do all of these crazy things. And it's like they can't even fathom the idea of woman leadership, because they've been told that that's bad. So they come up, everything else falls in line with that viewpoint. Woman leadership is horrible. So you mean to tell me that other countries are out there waiting, and the moment that Kamala gets elected, they're gonna be like, oh shit, fire up the nukes. Fire up the nukes, baby. We got a woman in office. Like, what the fuck? Our military still will be our military. Like, it's not gonna change no matter who's in fucking office. Like, are you fucking serious? We gave Israel our old weapons, right? They blocked 180 missiles that was fired at them from Hezbollah, and that's our old shit. So you think that's gonna change because a woman's in power? And you know what? This gender war, it never was ours to begin with. It was always the white man's at the source of all oppression, right? But it was always the white woman and the white man struggle. It was never ours to pick up our shield and our spear to get involved into. And black men will say this when it comes to feminism, but they won't look at the other way when the white man has told you how to be and what a man was, right? You won't say, oh, well, that wasn't never my struggle. That wasn't never my fight. I should have never picked up that shield. You only see it for the feminists. because you think that fucked up our community. Well, what did the white man telling us what the definition of a man? What repercussions did that have on our community? So they never look at shit back, and they claim to be woke. And look, the funniest part about this is Uncle Ruckus. Uncle Ruckus was on Charlemagne the God, the guy who plays him, right? And when he was doing some talking, he sounded like fucking black man. He sounded like every black man that I've ever heard talk today about Kamala. It was really, really interesting and a little bit sick, but here it is.
You think America is ready for a woman president, Uncle Ruckus?
No, sir, I do not.
And why not?
Women don't have the mental facilities that a white man has.
Lord have mercy.
White men can think about so many things at a time. White man can run a computer, and while he's writing with his left hand with an ink pen, and he's Googling something on the computers with his right hand, and then he's using his other hand to pay people who working for him. White man has a more developed brain. I don't know if you know anything about bumblebees, but bumblebees got complex eyes. They can see in all kinds of different ways at once. White man's got complex brains. They can see things you couldn't possibly see with your little Negro brain. Things that you don't know is coming at you. The white man can already see it. The white man is omnipotent. The white woman is not. The colored woman is not. But here's the hierarchy for president. You got to be a good white man. Then, second, if ain't got no good white man, then a good white woman can take place with the guidance of a good white man. Third, nobody else. Barack Obama proved that a colored man cannot run the country.
That is not true. Barack Obama was one of the greatest presidents.
Sick, man. Sick. That Uncle Ruckus is playing a character and saying the most despicable shit that he could ever think of and say. And you look at the graphics, and it's true. What he's saying is how black men think. The pecking order. First is the white man. And if they can't find a good white man, then next is the white woman. And then after that, it's everybody else, because nobody else is fit to lead. Y'all, Hillary Clinton is more favorable amongst black people than Kamala Harris. God damn. Black people, give me a fucking break. This shit is crazy. I can't believe it. I can't believe that the generation that has information at their fucking fingertips is the same generation, right? The same generation that the least informed, the most misinformed. Right? Y'all got people believing that they shouldn't take FEMA or shouldn't accept FEMA because FEMA is gonna make them give up their house, or that just a whole bunch of stupid ass fucking conspiracies. And like I said, I was watching a video of Tupac, and Tupac basically, well, we celebrate Tupac, right? People want to celebrate Tupac because Tupac ain't here. If Tupac was here, man, Tupac would be on black people's ass, no Diddy, because he come from that. He come from the Panthers. The Panthers was about self-improvement and the betterment of black people. But even in that organization and movement, you still found fucking sexism. You can't make this shit up. How black men want to be free, you know what I mean, from the oppression of the white man, to tell the black woman what their role is. Oh, you can fight for me, but you still gonna be second class. We just doing this to bestow the black man to their rightful place. You can't make this shit up. Black men are fucking conquered and they lost. And it just is what it is. And like I said, if Tupac was there, Tupac, he would be on black people's ass. No Diddy. No Diddy, bro. He definitely would. So that's why I say people forget, man. Y'all remember when Tupac said this shit?
Sweeter the juice, I say the darker the flesh, then the deeper the roots. I give all into my sister's own welfare. Tupac kids, and don't nobody else care. Check. I know they like to beat you down a lot, and when you come around the block, brothers clown a lot. Please don't cry, dry your eyes, never let up. Forgive, but don't forget, girl, keep your head up. And when he tells you you ain't nothing, don't leave him. And if you can't learn to love you, you should leave him. Cause sister, you don't need him. And I ain't trying to cash up, I just call it how I see it. You know what makes me unhappy? When brothers make babies and leave a young mother to be a pet. Now, since we all came from a woman, got our name from a woman, and our game from a woman, I wonder why we take from our women, why we rape our women, do we hate our women? I think it's time we kill for our women, time to heal our women, be real to our women. Because if we don't, we'll have a race of babies that will hate the ladies that make the babies.
He talking about y'all. He talking about y'all. We'll have a race of babies that will hate the ladies that make the babies. Fresh and Fit is literally that. Literally the walking embodiment of what Tupac is talking about.
Since a man can't make one, he has the right to tell a woman when and where to create one. So we'll.
Yo, that shit sound like Roe v. Wade. He has the right to tell a woman when and where to create one.
The real G's, get up. I know you fed up, ladies. Keep your head up.
Like I said, man, Tupac, bro, Tupac he would be on black people hard because he was about the betterment of black people and black men. As a matter of fact, we talk about, you know, white people and what they were saying and what they taught us what it was like to be a man, right? Show you this shit. This another thing I seen of Tupac. This shit, man, this shit was so powerful. What's up, dudes? This shit was so powerful. I seen this as a kid, bro. I seen this shit as a kid.
Thug life. I mean that shit. Because these white folks see us as thugs. I don't care what y'all think. I don't care if you think you a lawyer, if you a man, if you an African American, if you whatever the fuck you think you are. We thugs and niggas to these motherfuckers. You know? And until we own some shit, I'ma call it for like it is. How you gonna be a man and we starving? Go ahead. You know? And you can walk by 5 different houses, ain't a man in either one of them motherfuckers. Why we gonna be a man? How we gonna be African Americans? We out here dying. We thugs. And we niggas until we set this shit right.
How we gonna be a man? How we gonna be a man? How we gonna be a man? Like, what is it? What is being a man? What is being a man? What is being who's taught us how to be that? Like I said, hey man, I don't know where y'all is, if y'all at work or not, but hey, we finna get your education today. We finna go to Sunday school, man. Cause y'all won't take it from Barack Obama, even though he rose to the highest office in the land, even though he don't make the FBA cut, but y'all still got him on y'all walls. You get the Ebony magazine that he was on, and all the magazines they was on, y'all got him in y'all house, you know, the barbershops, etc. Because Barack Obama was something to be proud of, and he was male, right? And Kamala Harris unfortunately won't receive that same support because she's female. They'll move the goalpost because they don't want to support her because Barack Obama's not FBA. All right, Barack Obama, they say, what has he done for us? If Barack Obama ran again, they would definitely fucking elect Barack Obama for a 3rd term. I don't give a fuck what black people is out there saying. But like I said, we finna go to church today. We finna go to church. So y'all want to accept it from Barack Obama about how to be better? We'll go from people who y'all should accept it from.
I must stand for your sake, sister. I must not yield to temptation for your sake. You must see that there's a man on the scene that loves you purely, and does not want anything from you but for you to become the woman of God as you once were in the beginning. Nothing else do I want from you. Nothing else. We must show them that. As mothers, never misuse your woman. The greatest gift that God gives to a man, other than wisdom, is a woman. And to abuse your woman, to misuse her, is a sin of the highest order. And we have sinned against heaven by mistreating our women. We must stop it, brothers. We must stop it. You can't just say that the movie's a lie. The movie's not a lie. That's the condition that the black man has been put in by white people and their institutions and their society. You are no different than that beast that we saw in the form of a human being who mistreats his woman. Most of us are like that. We don't.
For context, he's talking about Mr. from The Color Purple. In context, that's what he's talking about.
Don't care for our women. They give us babies. They work for us. They clean our clothes. They tend us. They cook for us. And we reward them for this by walking out on them, leaving them, beating them. That ain't no unreal movie. Many men are taking their young daughters off, their nieces off. Many men are doing these things. We got to stop it, brothers. We got to stop it. We got to recognize that the penalty for these kinds of things has to be death.
Damn, Louis Farrakhan. Louis Farrakhan was banned off Facebook, and they think it was because he was talking about the liberation of the black man, which could partially be true. But he was also talking personal responsibility for black men. And this is what I'm saying. Is Louis Farrakhan only half right? Do people only go out there and listen to Louis Farrakhan when he talking about, when he talking about,
And this is
stuff that suits the narrative that they believe? What the woman should be. When he talking about responsibility for the men, nobody want to listen to that shit. But go ahead, Louis Farrakhan. We ain't done with their ass. Come on, we gonna cook them up today. Shit, hey, this might get the whole channel banned, but fuck it.
Most of our marriages end up with a mama. And that's why we use them nasty language, or that nasty language that we use, because the woman has never been treated as an equal sharer in this partnership. She's been treated like she's our mother that has to help to nurture and develop us. Brothers and sisters, the honorable.
Hold up now, Louis, because you done said something now. Because black women was showing up in fucking droves to support Barack Obama, that non-FBA that we conveniently give his FBA card to. But when it's time for the woman to be supported, black men calling her a funky bitch, a bitch. I seen Lord Jamar do an interview, and in the interview, Lord Jamar called her a bitch and said, "This bitch finna make me go vote for Trump just as a protest vote." And it's like, bro, why do you have that type of energy? And why does she deserve to be called a bitch? What has Kamala did to him to be called to deserve to be called a bitch? You ain't got no derogatory term for Donald Trump, old white ass, fat ass. I mean, German ass, whatever the case may be. You ain't got no insults for him. So why you got him from Kamala? Because she's a woman. But go ahead, Louis. Cook him.
Elijah Muhammad never liked that. He didn't like that in a man. He never liked no man that couldn't stand up and be a man. See, there really is no excuse, man. In truth, I know it's hard out there. But when you got a wife and you got children, don't talk about it's hard, make a way. Because if you got the will, God will make a way. You will always be able to look after your wife and your children.
They're providing guidance.
Go ahead, man. Cooking. Like I said, y'all might not make it through the rest of this episode because it's a personal responsibility and it's us talking to us with no middleman. Right? Because when we talk to each other, that shit is considered scolding. Oh, he think he better than us. Remember Jesse Jackson? I know Barack Obama don't think he better than the rest of us. Like got caught on a hype mic saying that shit. But it's like, man, who else gonna correct y'all? If we don't correct our own, it's just like, you know what I mean? A dude at a store getting on to a kid who's a boy or a male, right? And the mama's like, don't correct my kid. And it's like, well, who else gonna do it? That man got a perspective of the little boy. He sees himself in the little boy. Right? A woman could never see herself in the little boy. She only could maintain him. She can't really raise him the way he's supposed to be raised, which is why it's unnatural to be a single mother. But we out there creating them too, as well. But like I said, Barack Obama, the scolding of black men. I heard somebody say it was a black woman too, but she don't understand. You know what I mean? God bless her heart, as the old people would say. But she said, why is it that black people are always being scolded for the way they vote? And it's like he's not saying anything other than what you're not picking up. And it's, listen, how the hell is Hillary Clinton more favorable amongst African Americans and Joe Biden with the crimes bill that they had? Hillary Clinton's a woman as well. but they show more support for the white woman than Kamala Harris. And you cannot make this shit up. I don't care what goalpost, because I know they're going to turn into soccer players to not endorse it. But see, if you're a real fan and you've been following this shit for a while, Barack Obama has been talking about, the betterment of black people and how black people should be, et cetera, et cetera. That wasn't his first rodeo. That wasn't the first time he was disappointed with black people. When Reggie Owens do it, y'all say, oh, Reggie Owens think he better. When I do it, oh, Scholar think he better. Like, what? Who the fuck gonna correct us then? Who gonna correct us if not us? I ain't above correction as well. Correct me if you see me doing something. That's crazy. But like I said, man, who gonna correct us? Y'all depend on white people to correct us because y'all think white is right. But this is Barack Obama, quote unquote scolding fathers as he was president. Black people had a problem with this shit.
Providing guidance for our
brother.
They're providing guidance for our children, turning off the TV set, putting away the video games, attending those parent-teacher conferences, helping our children with their homework, setting a good example. That's what everybody's got to do if we're going to be moving this country forward. Teaching our daughters to never allow images on television to tell them what they're worth. Teaching our sons to treat women with respect and to realize responsibility does not end at conception. That what makes them a man is not the ability to have a child, but to raise one. That's a message we need to send. We have to do our part to lift up this country. That's where change begins. And after all, that's the true genius of America. Not that America is perfect, but that America will be perfect. Not that we are perfect, that we can make ourselves more perfect, that brick by brick, callous hand by callous hand, people who love this country can change it. That's our most enduring responsibility, the responsibility to future generations.
And that right there pissed black people off. They couldn't believe that Barack Obama said, young girls don't be controlled by images that you see. Have some respect for yourself, and black men take care of your kids. That was Barack Obama talking down to black men. That shit is crazy. Like, you cannot make that shit up. It's like I said, black people have been programmed and conditioned that the only people that are able to tell us how to be and how to live is white people. That's considered normal. So anytime a black person does it, it's considered taboo and unnatural. And they come up with all these reasons why a black person should not be talking to other black people like this in front of white people. Oh, embarrassment? Is that what's getting y'all? Like I said, man, at this point, bro, I can't even pretend. I can't even pretend that it's not what it obviously is, right? As much as they say that, they don't see Kamala as black, Donald Trump sees Kamala as black.
Would you rather have the black president or the white president who got 1.7 billion off the price? I think they want the white guy right now.
I think they want the white guy right now. That's what they want. They want the white guy. So as much as y'all don't see Kamala as black, Donald Trump sees her as black. As much as they said Barack Obama didn't have no slave blood, I remember Fox News called him the food stamp president when he finally did make it to office and became president. He automatically became black again. And if Kamala make it, she'll become black again as well. And when these black men is telling other black men, be better, do better for yourself, that's considered talking down, but this is not.
Any African American or Hispanic, and you know how well I'm doing there, that votes for Kamala, you got to have your head examined because they are really screwing you. They are really screwing you. Right?
He's talking to you guys. When he talks about, having your head examined, he talking to you, black people. Make no mistake about it. That was in Atlanta, and that was a couple days ago. Like I said, Donald Trump makes no mistake about it. He black people, what do you got to lose? Come on over to me. I'm not offering you shit, but just come over to me. You ain't got shit to lose. That's enough to get black people, because black people waiting for a white savior. You know what I mean? They waiting for a white savior. It's considered normal that white people gonna save. They look at white people as the gods of the earth, all of that shit, right? But Donald Trump says the silent part out loud, and he down talks you as well.
We won the evangelicals. We won with young. We won with old. We won with highly educated. We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
He's talking about y'all, the poorly educated black people. He's talking about y'all. This is why he doesn't even make an attempt to he gets mad when people fact check him. He doesn't even make an attempt to flat out just all the way, you know what I mean, say something that has at least got some semblance of truth to it. He just flat out comes out and says some dumbass shit because he knows poorly educated black people will just take him at face value. This motherfucker was in a swing state. As much as y'all don't like black people talking down to black people, he was in a swing state in Detroit, right? And he said this to the people of Detroit.
2%. They should be much higher than that, but that's up for whoever is going to be the next president. I think Kamala, it's not going to be high on her list. I don't think anything that we're talking about today is high on her list. The whole country is going to be like, you want to know the truth? It'll be like Detroit. Our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president. You're going to have a mess on your hands. She destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed, along with Newsom, California. And we're not going to let her do that to this country. We're not going to let it happen. So, 2%.
You heard that, Detroit? Detroit blacks? We're not going to allow her to turn the country into Detroit. What? Talking down to black people? But like I said, the elephant in the room is that black men do not support Kamala Harris because Kamala Harris is a woman, right? And she's the minority of a minority. She's a black woman at that. And just like they fought for rights, you know what I mean, civil rights, and they had the Black Panther movement and other organizations, and they still within those organizations discriminated against black women, right? They're doing the same thing. They're saying, know your role, help me bestow myself to get to where I need to be in life. Give me grace. All the meanwhile wagging y'all finger at black women, telling them how to be with no grace. Like, you can't make this shit up. It has nothing to do with anything other than Kamala Harris is a woman. It's just as simple as that. And where do they learn those viewpoints from? Of course, they oppressor. Of course, the white man, because they don't believe Kamala Harris is fit to be a president as well because she's a woman. Whoa, a straw in a vanilla shake. Like, bro, there is no criteria. They're making this shit up as they go. Simple as that. They have no criteria. They have no fucking morals or standards. That's why they always praise the Constitution until Donald Trump is shredding that motherfucker. They have no standards, no principles, no morals. And I'm not going to sit up here and act like Kamala's a bad candidate just to appease, to act like I'm begrudgingly voting for her. She's far better than Donald Trump, far better, superior to Trump. She passed the bar exam. And I have black men arguing with me, not going to say any names, telling me how dumb Kamala is. You cannot make this shit up. Kamala Harris has served in all three branches of government, right? All three branches. Passed the bar exam. That bar exam is literally, it's called the fucking bar. What, like the irony of that? It's called the bar exam. And you mean to tell me that woman is dumb? Is she so fucking dumb? Why didn't Trump debate her again? Why didn't he debate her again? He up at McDonald's serving French fries. He didn't want to debate Kamala Harris, though. And he didn't want to debate Kamala Harris because he didn't want to fucking get embarrassed. Because Kamala Harris murdered him in the first debate. It wasn't even fucking close. It was so bad that Donald Trump afterwards claimed the victory and said he wouldn't debate her again because it's too close to the election. And you look at the date, Joe Biden and him had a debate way after that date during COVID. But he thought Joe Biden would be easier than Kamala because Kamala is younger than him, more qualified than him, has served on all three branches of government, overqualified, all the stuff that black people need in these positions. And the mere fact that Donald Trump is fucking old. And, you know, it's crazy to me that Donald Trump, as old as he is, and as strong as they try to say Donald Trump is, the only person that seems to get that you shouldn't be old in politics is Donald Trump.
As a political person or the leader of a country. And people were very worried about, actually they were worried, am I going to be liberal, if you want to know the truth? And somebody said, would you come up with a list of 20 or 25 justices, in this case mostly judges, that you'd put in case it were necessary? Now it's amazing because I got 3 in 4 years. Most people get none. Because, you put them in the young, you tend to put them in young. Only super people put old. You don't put old in because they're there for 2 years or 3 years.
You're a 78-year-old man running for president.
A lot of judges, a lot of presidents get none. I got 3. And
yeah, that's right. Ignore the fact that this man just told the truth about you being 78 years old. And if Donald Trump runs another term, he'll be 82 by the time he lives. The oldest president ever. And 82 years old, if he fucking leaves. Like, bro, this is crazy. That's the guy that's more qualified. That's the guy that's more manly and a real man. The only thing that Donald Trump has going for him is the same thing that made him and his family rich. It's white privilege, that he was able to skip the line. The same way the Ukrainians, when they was evacuating where they from, coming over here, they got to skip the line in front of the Haitians and the Mexicans and all those people who we say that we don't want in this country. There's racism within immigration. And when these people are talking about immigrants, they're not referring to Ukrainians coming over here. We give Ukrainians money. What about that? We give Ukrainians millions of dollars. We gave them a whole bunch of money during the pandemic, right? And then immigrants came over here, got to skip the line, and they're treated as white when they come over here, even though they don't got, I don't know what you would call it, the opposite of FBA for a white person. Oppressor BA, I don't know. Oppressor foundational whites, I don't know. But they ain't even that shit. But they treat it like that when they get over here. They automatically amongst us because the pecking order and because of the system and the way it was designed. And this Donald Trump is a real man shit. It's fucking hilarious to me. Because unlike y'all, right? Black men I'm talking to. Because black men is the leaders. And here's the crazy part about it. In my family, I married late. I had kids late. I did all this stuff because I was disciplined in my life. I didn't have a model to look up to do any of these things, right? And it clearly was by choice because I'm good looking, right? But it took me a long time to do all of these things, right? And I didn't have that example. I have an uncle who asked me to borrow money. I have uncles who asked me to borrow a car. Like Smokey said, what kind of shit is that? Most people want to buy a sugar can. You want to borrow my car? And they do this because they are older in their life, starting over, right? You could even argue that I'm ahead of them as far as career-wise. They work in factory job, warehouse jobs, etc. They got to start all the way back over because they didn't do what the fuck they were supposed to do when they was my age. We got black men who, if they died tomorrow, don't even have a life insurance policy that they could pass to their kids. They're just going to pass fucking bills, right? And have to have fish fries and plates. These are the leaders. They're not marrying black women. Every race understands the economic value in marriage, but black men. They telling black men not to go to school and not to marry. These are the leaders. These are the leaders. These are the people that are gonna lead black people to the promised land. The fuck out of here. While white people telling us not to go to school, they sending their kids to school. Right? That's crazy to me. Black people are fucking lost. But like I said, Donald Trump, this manly man, right? Oh man, he's so strong. They look at white men, they look at them as a symbol of strength, which is why they think that Donald Trump is strong, because Donald Trump is sus than a motherfucker.
Lee Greenwood was singing. I've known you for 20 plus years, a long time. And I looked at you and there was an emotional moment where, like, I think people around me were starting to tear up. Were you close to tearing up at that moment?
Well, if I admitted that, I think I'd lose a lot of votes. I'm not supposed to. Do you want a president that cries? I don't think so. I thought that only was hit in the air. So they said, sir, you were hit in other locations, and they're going all over my body. They probably realize what a body this guy had. But they're going all over. And I'm just checking out the hairstyle. I'm talking. better looking than her. I think I'm much better. Much better. I'm a better looking person than Kamala. He's very much into women's health, and he's very much into the environment, which a lot of people like. People really like him. He looked good last night.
He's in very good shape.
Yeah, he is in good shape. I saw the pictures of him with the whole thing.
Hey, you don't take your shirt off and bench press if you're not in good shape.
No, it's pretty good.
Hey, so you got a question?
I do it. Would you like me to do it?
I would like you to do that.
It seems that we know Pennsylvania, Michigan.
To tell him the real story of Arnold, but Arnold Palmer was all man, and I say that in all due respect to women, and I love women, but this is a guy that was all man. This man was strong and tough, and I refuse to say it, but when he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, oh my God, that's unbelievable.
Yes, Donald Trump at his rallies talking about the size of another man's manhood. That is fucking hilarious. Donald Trump out there dick watching. He's a peeping Tom. He's what dudes call it lewdness. This motherfucker is out there looking at another man's dick and talking about it at his rallies. This is telling everybody he's hotter than fucking Kamala Harris. Talking about his hair. Like what the like at what point? What point is people gonna throw out the window what they telling you? Because they telling you they pissing on you and telling you is raining. If you put it in a cup, it'll turn into lemonade. And black people drinking the shit out of it. This man's talking about another man's dick. That is insane to me. Donald Trump telling the real story about somebody in the locker room having a big meet. And he's telling it to his crowd, and I don't want to say it, but I gotta say it, man, because that's what real men do. But he don't want to cry because that's what real men do. The doctors is checking out his body, saying, "What a buddy, he's hotter than Kamala." It's like, this is hilarious to me. This man shit, it don't got no rules or regulations. It's a bunch of people who realize they can monetize off of the divide that we've always had. What is the role of a woman? What is the role of a man? And times change, but they want to hold on to the quote unquote traditional shit. And the people who sell that stuff, the red pill guys, they go out and date the women who ain't traditional because they're playing on kids. But I understand it when the kids do it. I don't understand it when these lost ass adults pick up their shields and get in there and tell what a woman's supposed to be and what a man is supposed to be. That's crazy. Like Tupac said, we out there hungry and starving in these streets, and we know what we out there gangbang. We out there doing a whole bunch of stuff, but we know what it is to be a man. That's crazy. And you know what's crazy? Even more crazy? Just recently, my wife went on a vacation. Her birthday came up. Went on vacation, and she went to another country. And when she went to another country, she was talking about the customs over there. Right? She went with her best friend. And she was talking about the customs over there. And she talked about how the dude, how they had the prayer thing in their house, how they went over to, how they went over and showed that how his family is and how everything is. And it's like, black men are trying to bring back polygamy, but can't afford to take care of two households. Black men talk about being traditional, but don't want to give their daughter away or go meet with somebody, because they're not marrying black women, meet with somebody to get permission to marry them. They're not doing anything traditional. They just want all of the power, none of the responsibility. They want grace at their shortcomings. Their shortcomings, they want grace. Hey, man, don't judge me because of this. You got to understand, I did the best I can, and I did this. That's the best you can ain't fucking good enough. If you the leader, you got to take responsibility for where we are as a society and as a whole. And if you're not happy with the state we at, then you fucking failed. It's simple as that. Black men have failed, and they still want to lead. They still want to lead. That's the problem. That's the problem. But like I said, now that I'm done with my message for black people, I just wanted to say this before we get up out of here, right? I might drop the link, but I don't know if any black man gonna pull up. Deuce might pull up and just say propaganda, and then leave. But other than that, I don't know if black man gonna pull up, because today what we're gonna do is hold a mirror up to the leaders of our society and say, are you satisfied with where we are as a people? And are you happy with the job you did as a leader in our society? And if you're not, don't show up with no suggestion. Don't show up with what we need to do. Don't show up with what we should do. Write that shit down and put it in a message bottle and throw that shit in the sea and hope it make it to us. Don't walk around with your fucking nose up and your chest out. If you're not married, I don't want to hear from you. You know, if marriage wasn't powerful, they wouldn't have tried to stop the slaves from doing it. Because they didn't want them to read, right? Because they seen the power in that. They also didn't want them to get married, especially interracial marriage, but they didn't want them to get married amongst themselves because they seen the strength in that. It's always been about economics. Everybody would tell you that. And everybody sees the value in it, but Negroes. And I just wonder why. It's like I don't want to hear no advice from people that's not married. I don't want to hear none of this shit. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, if I'm looking at these statistics and I'm around these statistics, a statistic can't tell me nothing about being a statistic because they're a statistic. Now, if you different, I'll listen to you. If you're the exception to the rule, if you want the better, but you walking it like you talking it, well, then we can have a conversation. But if you're not, in the words of Dick Gray, you just talking. And I don't want to hear no just talk. You know what I mean? I can get up here and just fucking talk about boxing all the way from 1950 to 2010. I could squeeze 4 hours in there of doing that shit if I just wanted to talk. So we just gonna leave it on the talking level and just talk. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna listen to this shit. Matter of fact, the next time a black person get up here and start talking, you know, and I got a fucking great ass memory, and they start talking about, you know, black issues or the white man and all this stuff, and I know where they loyalty lied in this election, I'm gonna do this shit.
Yeah. And when you are, for instance, when we were here before, you know what? I mean, all the things ever printed in the tabloid, the only thing's ever been true is when they said I couldn't dance. When we were here the last time shooting the commercial, you were like in between shots, running off, conceiving the dance, choreographing the dance. You were up all night dancing.
I don't want to hear that shit. Save it. At some point, man, that shit just gets annoying. When I look at my family and I look at the generations and I look at what we've already been robbed from, right? Like, my wife was telling me that they have stuff that they've passed down like 3 generations ahead, like a quilt or whatever the case may be. Just something that small, right, is a key into your history, and we don't have that available. And what we do have, right, is systems that are in the place and that are on autopilot. And then we have black people who are more harsh on black people than the white people, and they doing it through white people talk. Like, it doesn't. At some point, it's like, God damn. I don't want to communicate with insane people telling me how to escape from the insane asylum, and you ain't even a quarter sane. That's what it's getting like to me. But like I said, man, I'm done with my black rant, man, because black people have turned into the fucking Goldilocks, right? The Goldilocks of race keeping, right? So white people invented race to exclude us from shit. They had the 1-drop rule, right? Basically scaring white people into keeping the race, quote unquote, pure, with not even a drop of black blood, right? So they were scaring white people out of inheritance shit. You won't inherit shit if you give 1 ounce of that Negro blood, right? And you have black people coming around, right? Even though white people made up the rules and trying to reinvent the rules just to exclude other people from some shit that we never gonna get. Like I said, I'm in favor of FBA when it comes to reparations because it's logical, it makes sense. But I'm not in favor of FBA in anything else. I feel like people that come over, the immigrants, they are black, especially if they want to identify as black. Now, if they don't want to identify as black, that's their prerogative, right? Good luck with that shit. Get pulled over and we'll see how that shit go. You know what I mean? But other than that, if you have 14% of the population, what percent of that is in jail? What percent of that is kids that's not even, you know what I mean, eligible to be in what you would quote unquote call a racialization war, right? Or the war against society. What percent? So we have like probably close to 7 to 5% of black men trying to take over everybody in America with no allies. White people understood allies. That's why they started accepting Irish people, Jewish people as white. Black people don't get it. Black people are the fucking Goldilocks of race. This guy ain't black enough. This one ain't black at all. But this old motherfucker Donald Trump is just right. And that shit is sick to me. Like I said, man, that's sick to me. I think it's extremely sick because I know what it is. Y'all don't have to tell me what it is. The jury's out on this one. The diagnosis is out. It has nothing to do with anything other than we've been in America so long and we've been behind enemy lines so long. We're starting to talk, walk, and think like our oppressors. We know what the definition of a man is, but don't know what the definition of a man is, right? Because they don't know what the definition of a man is. That man said that fucking Tim Waltz was drinking with a straw. What the fuck? Men don't drink with straws now? I seen somebody that was doing Kamala's ads, and I just see all of these videos, Pink Book Lessons. I seen a black woman show Pink Book Lessons, right? And Pink Book Lessons is a YouTube channel that's solely dedicated to telling black women how to be for their man, right? To be submissive, to listen, to all of this stuff. And I thought that that was hilarious, that the enemy of my enemy, because she wouldn't watch Pink Book Lessons on any other occasion. Probably don't even, she definitely don't agree with any of the principles or morals that she preaches. But because she was talking negative about Kamala, instantly she became an ally. And what's even more cold about that is she was showing Candace Owens as some type of proof. That's what I say. You cannot make this shit up. Black people are so fucking low. It's not even funny to me anymore. It's becoming it's becoming sickening. It's becoming sickening because they're rooting for the downfall of Kamala, and they're saying that she's non-black, even though that's been proven. I mean, that she is black. They just keep moving the goalposts. Well, what is our policies? She released her policies. I'm going to give black people this. I'm going to give them. I'm going to talk about prison reform. I'm going to talk about giving them business loans. I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about that. All the stuff that she talked about was dedicated to black people. Her plan. And it wasn't enough. They moved the goalposts. Oh, well, that ain't gonna work. It's nothing she could do because they do not want a woman in power. They don't even like the idea of a woman in power. And like I said, if you've been watching my show for a while, you already know how I feel about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a fucking dictator. Made no mistake about it. Donald Trump asked for immunity and fucking got it. Donald Trump wasn't even the sitting president. Asked for immunity from the Supreme Court and got it. Because he placed people in position in the Supreme Court to do exactly that, where he could have power without being the actual sitting president, and he got exactly what he was looking for. Donald Trump is on record talking about,
I am your warrior. I am your justice. And for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution. I said I want to be a dictator for one day. We will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country.
Lock up the Bidens. Lock up Hillary.
If I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath. Proud boys, stand back and stand by. It's nice to have a strong man running your country. I am your warrior. I am your justice. And for those who have been wronged and betrayed.
Yes, he's the warrior. He's the justice. And if he doesn't win, it's going to be a bloodbath. I think it's really funny to me that when he was doing the McDonald's drive-through interview, and people were asking him questions, and a person asked him, would there be a peaceful transfer of power? And he said, well, of course. Yeah, I'll peacefully transfer it if they treat me fairly. And it's like, motherfucker, you're never gonna admit that you lost. That's the thing. How could you say if they treat you fairly? Anything other than a W, you're gonna say was unfair. When you lost the election, you told everybody that you really won.
I think it was the best debate I've ever personally.
Excuse me, the debate.
I think it was the best debate I've ever personally that I've had. We're getting polls that show 92 to 6, 88 to 11.
Every single poll last night had me winning like 90 to 10. We had C-SPAN at one point was at 80 to 20.
We looked at one poll, it was 92 to 7. We had a 92% rating in one poll. We had an 86% rating in another. We had 77%, 90%, 60%, 72%, 71%, and 89%.
Motherfucker just throwing random numbers out there, freestyling numbers to say how he lying eyes when we seen Donald Trump get his ass beat on national anymore. So what the strategy was basically deny that he lost, talk about the polls, bring up the polls that he say is fake, right? You can't believe polls when it come to him losing. I mean, are down in states, but you can believe him whenever they're asking who won the debates, right? That's the irony of the stupidity, the stupid shit that Donald Trump is saying. But and then after that, he admitted, after he said that he won, he basically insinuated that it was unfair.
The moderators, everybody did. I thought it was terrible from the standpoint of ABC. It was 3-1. It was a rigged deal, as I assumed it would be, because when you looked at the fact that they were correcting everything and not correcting with her.
All foul play. So he don't think any loss that he ever takes is fair. Any loss that he ever takes is never fair. It's always, a rigged system against him, trying to stop him from being, the greatest person that he could possibly be. I don't know what the fuck. And black people champion this shit. The guy who was talking about dick sizes, the guy who was, talking about how good he looked and all this other stuff. That's the guy. That's a man. That's a manly man. And he's a savior of black people, the blacks, I guess. Like I said, it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. I cannot believe that we still have undecided voters. I can't believe that we have people out here endorsing this shit. You know how Donald Trump is a fucking idiot? Because people be embarrassed. Not the people online. The people you meet in real life. If you ask them, are they a Trump supporter, right? The people outside the MAGA people, those people be proud as shit. They like the rainbow people, just opposite. But the people that you ask at your regular job, they won't say that they like Donald Trump. They'll pretend like they either don't like him or they're going to begrudgingly vote for him or whatever the case, because they know that he's fucking dumb. But I was having a conversation today, we were talking about, Kamala Harris. And of course you had a black male talking shit about Kamala being dumb. Out of all the things that you could call Kamala, why is dumb one of them? I said, black men are conquered. At this point, they on autopilot. They like the reverse of the movie Get Out. You remember Get Out was, no, they is the people from Get Out, where they really white brains, but they got black bodies. That's what they is at this point. They got white brains with black bodies. I mean, that's why that movie was so great and symbolic. Black people are that. They in a sunken place right now. And Kamala Harris is all these nasty things. She's a bitch. She's dumb. She's all of these things. They don't even know Donald Trump's highest level of education, but they're calling a person who passed the bar exam dumb. She has experience in all three branches. They're saying that she's a DEI hire and unqualified. Like, you cannot make this shit. Donald Trump is the descendant of an immigrant, right? And they say that they hate immigrants. And then he marries an immigrant who sponsors her parents to become immigrants. But they hate immigrants. Like, you cannot make this shit up. Like I said, man, black people are fucking lost, right? And then when you give them proof of Project 2025, Donald Trump will come out and I cannot believe I was having this conversation. I was talking to one of my close friends, right? I'm still respect him. I just think he just setting off his logic on this because it don't even make any sense logically. But he told me Donald Trump, because he was alarmed about Project 2025 at first. Project 2025, he was like, oh shit, I gotta read that. That's crazy, man. I don't want to, I don't want no dictator. Then he comes back and say, well, Donald Trump said that, he really wasn't a part of Project 2025. Of course he's going to say that. What is he going to say? Hell yeah, I'm going to pass Project 2025, especially when it's not popular and it has the markings and makings of a dictator. Of course he's going to fucking say that. You're using Donald Trump as the end all be all in a case about himself, that about something that's not polling popularly. Of course he's gonna say, he's a politician. Regardless if you think he's this outsider Clint Eastwood character that's gonna come jump on Crocodile Dundee like character, gonna jump on top of all these politicians and make a bow out and drain the swamp and do all these great things. Donald Trump is a lying ass businessman with a badass toupee and a fat ass body, probably got stents. Looks like he's showing a mental decline. He's showing up to rallies where he didn't even speak. He just was like dancing to his music and showing his playlist. And it's just like, these are makings and signs of a person in mental decline. Something's wrong with that motherfucker. I don't give a fuck what anybody say. He's closer to fucking 80 than he is 70, and y'all think ain't nothing wrong with him. The same reason that y'all disqualified Joe Biden is the same reasons why you can make an argument not to vote for Trump. But then again, Donald Trump is white. Donald Trump is rich. He's all the things that a black man would admire with a white mind, right? Because they've been conquered. They've been in America too fucking long. But Donald Trump, using Donald Trump in the court case about himself and using his testimony is completely ludicrous. Oh, because Donald Trump said he wasn't a part of Project 2025. He's not? What?
Like some on the right, severe right, came up with this Project 25, and I don't even know. I mean, some of them I know who they are, but they're very, very conservative. He's involved in Project, and then they read some of the things, and they are extreme. I mean, they're seriously extreme. But I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know anything about it. They wrote a document that many of the points are fine. Many of the points are absolutely ridiculous. I have nothing to do with the document. I've never seen the document. I've seen certain things that are said in it.
I've never seen the document. That's how I know that some of the things are good, some of them are not. But I've never seen it. Never seen this document. Never heard of it. I don't even know what Project 2025. I don't even use numbers. I skip over 25 when I count. Like, bro, what the fuck? Like I said, fucking stupid that Donald Trump said that. And we could, like, with a little bit of research, you find things like this.
If you look at the collaborators and the authors of this plan, a lot of these people came from directly people that served in Trump's cabinet.
Several Trump allies, though, do have ties to Project 2025, including two of its authors, Dr. Ben Carson and Ken Cuccinelli. Mark Meadows and Stephen Miller are with groups on Project 2025's advisory board. Senior advisor Peter Navarro, who is, of course, in prison, he's also listed as an advisor.
Donald Trump's super PAC running ads promoting Project 2025, calling it Trump's Project 2025. The leader of the Heritage Foundation, Kevin Roberts, saying that Trump gets full credit for creating Project 2025 and will enact it if
he's elected. And the leader of it is praising Donald Trump. Like, come on, Trump. Trump's DNA is all over it. That's the equivalent of OJ's bloody gloves. He definitely is involved in Project 2025. He definitely has a lot to do with Project 2025. And look, if you want to believe it, if you want to vote for Donald Trump, do it. It's your fucking right. But let's stop pretending. Let's stop this make-believe shit that Donald Trump is the one that's going to go fight for your freedom. That Donald Trump has nothing to do with Project 2025. Let's stop this make-believe shit. He absolutely does have a lot to do with Project 2025, and he wants to implement it if he's ran. Because every now and then, he'll slip up and say the silent part out loud.
A great group, and they're going to lay the groundwork and detail plans for exactly what our movement will do and what your movement will do when the American people give us a colossal mandate to save America, and that's coming. Heritage Foundation president, somebody else doing an unbelievable job. He's bringing it back to levels it's never seen. Dr. Kevin Roberts.
How many times have you been to Mar-a-Lago?
Several, sure.
And you meet with Trump campaign people, or who do you talk to when you're there?
Well, I've met, they're not at the Mar-a-Lago per se, but yeah, I've met with Susie, and, from time to time, we have a little bit of interchange, but it's very limited with respect to Project 2025.
Example of what waste, fraud, and abuse looks like, because the only reason we're having this hearing is because somebody got their feelings hurt in a debate, and I don't understand why we're wasting taxpayer dollars. Next time, tell your big boy to show up and be ready to handle the woman in the room who hopefully will become the next president of the United States. Nevertheless, while we do have two amazing authors from Project 2025, which it seems like everybody got the memo, like, yes, I'm going to double down and say it's my thing, but I'm going to make sure I also say that it ain't our homeboys thing, because we know that it doesn't poll very well with the American people, because the American people are woke enough to recognize that there is nothing good in it for them. So with that being said, Ms. Perryman, I'm just curious, and this is yes or no. Is Trump's name ever mentioned in Project 2025? Yes or no? Just yes or no. I got you.
Within the document itself,
Yes.
there are a number of references to the former
Okay.
administration.
So is Trump's name mentioned just one time?
I believe it's mentioned more.
Okay. 5 times.
I haven't counted.
Oh, okay. Well, if I told you that his name is mentioned approximately 312 times, would you have any reason to dispute that?
I don't have any reason.
Okay, thank you very much. So it's interesting that we want to try to pretend. We're not going to pretend in here. We're going to work with facts and not fiction. So
The best. Get rid of the Department of Education. You're going to go right. And every building in Washington, you go by Department of Education. I'm going to have one person working there, maybe with a secretary. I don't mean a secretary.
You want it all to be local now.
Stenographer. Because we want to make sure they're teaching English, right? Let's say reading, writing, and arithmetic.
None of the books.
Not transgender. We're not going to be heavy.
What about our history?
Well, and all of that.
Absolutely. Mr. President, the key about school choice is there are a lot of people who would love to be able to take the money that they put into taxes and put it into a different school. Not the public school, but the Catholic school, the private school.
Like Arizona.
Yeah.
So, Mr. President, we got to.
And you're on board with that.
School choice is one of the most important things we're going to be doing.
Absolutely.
Because we have the worst. Think of it, out of 40, we're number 40. Yeah. And yet we're number 1 when it comes to spending per pupil. Does that sound good?
Well, there's a bill that just passed the Ways and Means.
Out of 40, we're number 40. Yeah. And yet we're number 1 when it comes to spending per pupil. Does that sound good?
Well, there's a bill that just passed the Ways and Means Committee. It could pass in your first 100 days as president. It sounds like you'd sign it.
I would sign it. Anything to do with school choice, also. But also, separate from school choice, we're going to take the Department of Education, close it. I'm going to close it. We'll have one person, could be.
Bothers me about that. So let's say you have a liberal city, let's Los Angeles, San Diego, and they just decide we're going to get rid of that history. We got new history. This is America built off the backs of slaves, unstolen land. And that curriculum comes in.
Then we don't send them money. We would save half of our budget.
Okay.
And we're going to send, but if they want to do that.
Because you do lose control when you go lower.
No, we've lost control.
We don't send them money. So if somebody doesn't agree and acknowledges the history of America, they will be excluded from funding for the schools, according to Donald Trump. Crazy. And the author that he was championing of Project 2025 said this shit.
We are going to win. We're in the process of taking this country back. We are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
Wow. Kevin, goddamn, Kevin out there showing his ass, talking about it will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be. And it's just so stupid because I already know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. Look, you don't have to be Nostradamus to see what's going to happen. Donald Trump, if he loses, is not going to accept the loss. He's going to try to overturn the decision, right? And the idea that Donald Trump is going to have a peaceful transfer of power just shows the state that the world is in. It's like one party has that mindset of the left. If the left allows it to remain bloodless, they look at the left as weak. And my opinion is those people on January 6th should be killed. I'm just be honest with you, or in jail for the rest of their life. That shit is treason. That's treason. Those are treason acts, and treason is supposed to be treated as such. And the idea that Donald Trump would lose, and he's not in power, but it's going to be a peaceful transfer of power. Last I checked, Joe Biden was the fucking sitting president. What the fuck do they mean a peaceful transfer of power? Who did he get it from? That's crazy. That, like I said, but he slips up every now and then and says the silent part out loud. The fact that he put the Supreme Court justices, 3 of them, and they're loyalists to him, right? And the fact that he going around touting and beating his chest, talking about he's responsible for getting rid of Roe v. Wade.
I got rid of Roe v. Wade.
I'm the one that got rid of Roe v. Wade.
I was able to do it, and I was very honored to do it.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle?
The answer is that there has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form. There, of course, remains a vital role for the federal government in protecting unborn life.
Nobody has ever done more for right to life
than Donald Trump. Roe v. Wade, they won. They finally won.
The Iowa bill was signed, and they wouldn't have been able to do anything if I wasn't able to do what I did.
Able to do what he did. What did you do, Donald Trump? Like I said, Donald Trump is on record, you know what I mean, talking about locking up the dude from Facebook for, you know, his election interference. He's on record saying this.
And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed.
4 years, you won't have to vote anymore. I wonder what he means by that. It's so funny that when Donald Trump says exactly what he means, and then everybody comes out and tries to find alternative meanings to what he actually said and why he didn't really mean what he mean, like the enemy from within, where he talked about using the federal government to get the federal army, the army to get rid of people. And then he doubled down on the shit. And then he's talking about locking up people, Mark Zuckerberg, for Facebook and election interference.
Former President Trump alleging Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg will try to unlawfully influence the 2024 election, writing, if he does anything illegal, this time he will spend the rest of his life in prison.
Lock him up. The people that's responsible for making this biopic. That's what he said about them.
Trump in a flattering light, and the Trump campaign threatened to sue its filmmakers, calling the film pure fiction and election interference.
Election interference. The one guy who has 34 felonies and is on trial for election interference is crying election interference. Oh my God. Like this, like I said, bro, this shit is crazy. At this point, I don't even see how people could be a Trump supporter. I've only heard one person really make a case and articulate himself to why he was voting for it. And I still disagree with it, but at least he came to it with a logical approach. But everybody else is just because they don't want to see a woman president. They rather vote for a fucking dictator. A dictator. They rather vote for a white man. They rather vote for what they called, quote unquote, Jim Crow Joe. They rather vote for Hillary Clinton. Anybody but Kamala. That's crazy. What has Kamala did and to deserve to be anybody but Kamala? Because I heard people say anybody but Trump. What has Kamala done to be anybody but Kamala? Because I don't know how familiar y'all are with JD Vance, but JD Vance has been on record calling Trump Hitler, which is funny now because now he works for Hitler, right? But JD Vance has had a lot of derogatory and truthful things to say about Donald Trump.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. It makes you think that at a fundamental level, this is sort of a he said, she said, right? And at the end of the day, do you believe Donald Trump, who always tells the truth? Just kidding. Or do you believe that woman on that tape?
No, I cannot stand Trump because I think he's a fraud. Well, I think he's a total fraud that is exploiting these people, who is a total fraud.
Like you said, I agree with you on Trump because I don't think that he's the person. I don't think he actually cares about folks.
So as a conservative who thinks that Trump does not have the answers and isn't qualified to be president, what are you going to do this election, if you don't mind saying?
My current plan is to vote either third party or, as I joke to my wife, I might write in my dog because that's about as good as it seems. But, you know, I think there's a chance, if I feel like Trump has a really good chance of winning, that I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary Clinton. Ultimately, I think I'll probably vote third party. I might vote for this new guy who I really like, Evan McMullin, who I actually met the other day. But I think that I'm going to vote third party because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place.
Misleading the white working class to a very dark place. Then compared the man to Hitler. Now you work for Hitler. Interesting, man. It's so interesting, so crazy too at the same time. But it make perfect sense to me. JD Vance was for sale, just like most politicians. Donald Trump just, he just purchased them. But like I said, at this point, man, it's obvious what Donald Trump is. He don't have to say it anymore. His actions is really, really loud. He's campaigns on locking everybody up, locking Hillary up, locking all of these people up, his political opponents, then accuses them of coming after him in a witch hunt. All the meanwhile saying if he comes back into power, he gonna do a witch hunt and go after them. What the fuck?
Saying publicly the FCC should revoke ABC's license over unfounded claims about ABC News allegedly rigging the presidential debate.
Former President Trump says that he will deport students who participate in pro-Palestinian protests.
Donald Trump said that anyone who criticizes the Supreme Court justices should be arrested and jailed.
Donald Trump earlier today said you burn the American flag, you should get a year behind bars.
During the 2024 campaign, Trump has been, quote, venting about the need to punish late-night comedians for their anti-Trump material.
Bam, punish everybody, lock everybody up. That's what dictators do. That's crazy to me. Like I said, we're headed towards fascism, and everybody's just okay with it, on board with it. I'm gonna do my part, you know what I mean? But I just don't. I'm more so curious to when they say, when Ryan is saying that the transfer of power will be peaceful if the left allows it to be. What is the left willing to do? Because I feel like those motherfuckers who are talking like that, when that guy pulls up to my show and he's telling me, people not going to take this shit anymore. They're not just going to keep on doing what they want to do to Trump supporters. And I said, what are y'all prepared to do? And he just laughed. And I'm like, bro, how are y'all the party of the Constitution and law abiding and all this other stuff? But when stuff don't go y'all way, y'all want to protest the Capitol and shoot and murder people. Like, that's the mindset of the people. Mind you, white people had a civil war because they wanted to continue to own human beings in America. And then the revisionist history, they tell you that war was not about the very thing that we know that it was about. This really happened in America. Those same people, I feel like he's talking about using the government to go after people who disagree with him, with Google and all this other stuff. He need to be going after those motherfuckers. Go after the people who's a threat to democracy. Go after the people who's a threat to the Constitution. The people who protest fair elections. The people who commit treason. Those people should be going after. Don't go after the people that are law abiding and they just don't agree with you politically or agree with your ideas. That's crazy to me, and that's dictator behavior. It's dictator behavior. But like I said, black man, I've been in America so long, they've accepted the fact that they got white minds. They like the people from Get Out. They got black bodies, black exteriors. They white in the inside. And it's sad to me that Uncle Ruckus plays a character. And in his character, he tries to sound the stupidest he could possibly sound and to say the most ignorant shit. And if you listen to Ruckus, he says the talking points that black people say. Now, the same black people who claim to be more informed and more woke than any other generation, he says what they say, right? And black people are so crazy to me. They'll look back at Martin Luther King and say, we should have never had integration, that it was the worst thing that ever happened. And I'm like, how do y'all know so much? What makes y'all so fucking smart? So y'all smarter than Martin Luther King now. Y'all smarter than that guy. The guy who was smart and grew up during the times. You don't think that they had the same ideas as you? The thing about it is y'all think your ideas is new. Like I said, they know every fucking thing. We live in a know-it-all generation. Black people know what it is. Black men know what it is to be a man. They know what they got. They come to them for advice. They won't have a shortage of answers. But look at the results and look at their lives, and they fall short. They shouldn't show up to these platforms with the answers to anything if they the leaders. And we are where we are as a society. Because if we are where we are and they're the leaders, they're solely responsible for where we are. And it's just as simple as that. But I'm going to get up out of here. I've been cooking for 2 hours, man. I might chop this up and make it into clips. Appreciate everybody for pulling up. This is going to be the channel I'm going to go for. It won't let me go live from my other YouTube channel. So I'm going to have to build this one up like I did the other one. I don't know what's going on, man. YouTube hating on me, but they can't stop me. But I'm gonna let Big Unc take us home. I'm gonna let Uncle Ruckus, a man who knows who he is. See, these black men, they don't know who they is. They self-proclaimed leaders, but won't marry. Right? They won't marry. They won't really do the things that it takes. That's why they identify with Trump so much. Trump is a guy that wants 100% of the power and no accountability or responsibility of the responsibility that comes with the leadership. He just wants the position and the power. Black men want that as well, and that's why they identify so much with Trump. That's why Trump represents strength to them, because they see themselves in Trump. But I'm gonna let Ruckus take us up out of here, man. I appreciate everybody for pulling up. Remember, Kamala Harris, amongst registered Democratic voters, especially male voters, is receiving the less support out of Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and herself. So out of those people, she's trailing amongst support amongst black males. They voted for Hillary Clinton, who's responsible for the crimes bill, and Jim Crow Joe is what they called him. Jim Crow Joe is what they called him. Pretty Ricky, what they called him. That's what they call him. They voted for. They support those two guys, guys and gals, more than they support Kamala Harris. The overall messaging is Joe Biden, yes, he's responsible for the crimes bill. Yes, he didn't promise to do anything for black. Yes, he said, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Right? They said Barack Obama was down talking black men for what he said to black men, which wasn't even crazy.
Thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is, putting women down. That's not acceptable.
Not acceptable. Barack Obama's absolutely 100% right. It's not acceptable. Joe Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. You know what I mean? And you just look at his voting record, because he's been in Congress forever. You look at how he votes, what he had to say, the racist things that he had to say, you know what I mean, about his kids playing with black kids, how he was against busing and all this other stuff that they brought up. He still had a large support amongst registered Democrats. Kamala doesn't have any of those things on her record. The only stain that she has is being born without a dick. Simple as that. And black men will not support her. And you know what's really, really crazy? Like I said, I showed some videos for Louis Farrakhan today. Louis Farrakhan is a very smart man. He's not going to give his opinion about a subject without doing the due diligent research. This is what he had to say about Kamala when she was the VP.
The biggest slap in the face to Trump was when the man he called Sleepy Joe became the president-elect of the United States of America and called a black woman to his side. She ain't no lightweight. Kamala Harris is a heavyweight. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And look at how white folks are thinking right now. She's a heartbeat away from being the first black president. Yes, sir. If he dies while in office, so white folks are upset. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They see our rise, and we are witnessing their
fall. They see our rise, and we are witnessing their fall. So that's how he viewed Kamala Harris. As much as black men say that she's not black, he's seen her as black. Donald Trump sees her as black because he said, "You gonna vote for me, or you gonna vote? You gonna vote for the white guy? You want a black president, or you want the white guy?"
Would you rather have the black president or the white president who got $1.7 billion off the price? I think they want the white guy right now.
I don't even want to hear it. Like, man, I'm gonna just be honest with you. I might not even do another live. I'm gonna do lives, but I might not even have open panels and lessons about boxing until the election happens. I'm tired. I'm at this point. I'm just tired. I'm tired of arguing the same shit. I'm tired of debating dumbass shit like if Kamala's black or not. Like this shit is getting it's tiring. It's tiring that they have the internet at their fingertips, but they choose not to believe. They choose to be blind to these issues. They choose to. It's a choice, right? It's about winning the argument. It's about convincing people that this woman is unfit for office because they don't want to see a woman president, because they think like they oppressor, because they've been in America too long and they don't have self-reflection enough to say, I might be thinking and talking and walking like my oppressor. Instead, they're gonna double down on some bullshit like Lord Jamar, right? Calling her a bitch. And when they refer to Kamala as a bitch, it just shows the mindset that they have. It shows to me that what they really thinking and what they really believe inside. It goes down. It's like if you talk to a white person long enough about black people, they'll keep pushing the edge, pushing the envelope, to eventually where they'll try to make it like it's a culture thing. And if black people change their culture and their habits and pull their pants up, that they wouldn't get treated the way they would. Like if you keep digging deep, that'd be the sole argument that some white people, Republicans, white Republicans mainly, will make if you keep digging long enough. And that's what happens with the Kamala stuff. Keep digging, eventually you'll find exactly what they'll say, the silent part out loud. But like I said, man, I'm gonna get up out of here. I done been cooking for 2 hours, man. Hey, it is what it is, man. Let black men vote for who they want to vote for. Let them be lost and think that they found. Let them think that they enlightened. I talked about the Enlightenment era that that white people had, where they started doing racialization, right? What era could you point to in American history where you say black people had an Enlightenment era? Something to think about. I would probably say the 60s with the Panthers and Dr. King and the Muslims, but that was about it. And even then, they were at war with each other. They views and they talking points, and they were all leaders that was, at war with their own ideas, instead of looking at it like, well, we all on the same page. We all want the same thing for our people. They were at war with each other. Black people are on our, we're gonna tear each other down. We're gonna be lost. We're not gonna support our women, even though we need women. Barack Obama broke open the doors. If she gets through, she'll break open the doors as well. It is what it is. Like I said, Ruckus, take us home. Talk to us like and sound like every other black person sounds that supports Jim Crow Joe and white Hillary Clinton over Kamala Harris, whose track record ain't nothing like theirs.
You think America is ready for a woman president, Uncle Ruckus?
No, sir, I do not.
And why not?
Women don't have the mental facilities that a white man has.
Lord have mercy.
White men can think about so many things at a time. White man can run a computer, and while he's writing with his left hand with an ink pen, and he's Googling something on the computers with his right hand, and then he's using his other hand to pay people who working for him. White man has a more developed brain. I don't know if you know anything about bumblebees, but bumblebees got complex eyes. They can see in all kinds of different ways at once. White man's got complex brains. They can see things you couldn't possibly see with your little Negro brain. Things that you don't know is coming at you. The white man can already see it. The white man is omnipotent. The white woman is not. The colored woman is not. But here's the hierarchy for president. You got to be a good white man. Then, second, if ain't got no good white man, then a good white woman can take place with the guidance of a good white man. Third, nobody else. Barack Obama proved that a colored man cannot run the country.
That is not true. Barack Obama was one of the greatest presidents.
Y'all even sound like I'm saying Barack Obama ain't do nothing for black people and show he can't run the country. You can't make this shit up. But anyway, man, appreciate everybody for tuning in. All the people that stayed in the bushes, you know what I mean? You was right for to stay in the bushes, because the guy's honest truth is I love black people, man. I love black people, but I just see that we lost. I see where we headed. I see us driving over the cliff. I see all the people who are self-proclaimed leaders, you know what I mean, with all the answers, but ain't got no fucking answers. I see, you know, them not want to take responsibility for the state of the community, the state of anything. You know what I mean? They'll say white supremacy. You say, okay, I rock with that. White supremacy is the reason why we is what we is. But whose responsibility is it to fix it? Right? We ain't talking about fault. We're talking about responsibility because there's a difference. Whose responsibility is it to fix it? Right? And when we's having these responsibility conversations, they don't want to show up to them. Because if it's your responsibility to fix it, you got to start marrying black women. You got to start teaching our kids, you know what I mean? Teaching our women to be women, traditional women, but also teaching our men to be men that's going to go marry these traditional women because they marrying the hoes. They're not marrying traditionally nothing, right? So you know what I mean? That's the responsibility that we have, that we burden with as the leaders. But they don't want any of that. Right. And even if they're going to be responsible for it, they ain't going to be responsible for it as a whole. They talk about us as a monolith. They say, don't see us as a monolith. Then they talk about us as a monolith. Then go vote as an individual. You can't make this shit up. Like I said, man, peace be up on black people, right? Because I know y'all lost. Like, as an old person would say, God bless y'all soul, man. But yeah, y'all was right for the stay in the bushes, man. I was going to cook today. I had like 7 or 8 more clips about black people that I didn't even show. But no, let me end it with this. I got to end it with this clip. For the people who just pulling up, Donald Trump is considered to be a man and the manliest of men, right? But like I said, he seems to be the only one that gets it because every now and then he'll say the silent part out loud, right? Like he'll talk about, you know, it's dumb to elect somebody into office that's old.
As a political person or the leader of a country. And people were very worried about, you know, actually they were worried, am I going to be liberal, if you want to know the truth? And somebody said, would you come up with a list of 20 or 25 justices, in this case mostly judges, that you'd put in case it were necessary? Now, it's amazing because I got 3 in 4 years. Most people get none. Because, you know, you put them in the young. You tend to put them in young. Only super people put old. You know, you don't put old in because they're there for 2 years or 3 years.
You're a 78-year-old man running for president.
A lot of judges, a lot of presidents get none. I got 3. And...
Yeah, just ice skated past that comment that he made because he knows that it's true because he was basing it off of what the statement that he just made. And then we'll go out there and say suspect shit and demonstrate strength as a white man, as a leader, as a German who came over here, who said he was from Sweden, immigrant, got to skip the line, whose daddy took advantage of the government and created generational wealth for him, you know what I mean, and his siblings. That strong white man will exhibit strength and tell us what it's like to really be a man.
Lee Greenwood was singing. I've known you for 20 plus years, a long time. And I looked at you and there was an emotional moment where, like, I think people around me were starting to tear up. Were you close to tearing up at that moment?
Well, if I admitted that, I think I'd lose a lot of votes. I'm not supposed to. Do you want a president that cries? I don't think so. So I thought that only was hit in the air. So they said, sir, you were hit in other locations, and they're going all over my body. They probably realize what a body this guy had. But they're going all over. And I'm going to just check her. I think I'm much better. I'm a better looking person than Kamala. He's very much into women's health, and he's very much into the environment, which a lot of people like. People really like him. He looked good last night.
He's in very good shape.
Yeah, he is in good shape. I saw the pictures of him with the whole thing.
You don't take your shirt off and bench press if you're not in good shape.
No, it's pretty good.
Hey, so you got a question?
I do it. Would you like me to do it?
I would like you to do that.
It seems that we know Pennsylvania, Michigan.
To tell him the real story of Arnold, but Arnold Palmer was all man, and I say that in all due respect to women, and I love women, but this is a guy that was all man. This man was strong and tough, and I refuse to say it, but when he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, oh my God, that's unbelievable.
I refuse to say it, but I'm going to tell you about how big his dick is. Now keep dick watching, black man. Y'all keep dick watching. Y'all keep voting for Donald Trump. Y'all keep claiming that it's a protest vote, which it didn't matter who was running on the Democratic side. You was going to vote for Donald Trump anyway because you black outside, but you white. You got a white mind, and this ain't no protest vote. Y'all hide behind. Y'all talk about identity politics. Y'all hide behind identity politics. Y'all use it in the reverse. Y'all use all the arguments that y'all talking about in reverse to vote for Donald Trump. Just say you support him because you think that he represents what white supremacy represents to us. A white savior, you know what I mean, who could do everything, you know what I mean, beat up everything. He's just a big, bad John Claude Van Damme, Clint Eastwood / Chuck Norris type of character. Because Umar, who y'all praised for talking shit about Kamala, when he said that Trump was black people have white savior syndrome, nobody talks about that shit. They only show when Umar is talking about Kamala. But like I said, man, I leave y'all with that, man. Y'all keep supporting Trump. Y'all keep dick watching. Anyway, I'm out this bitch.
Mike, Francois Botha, 6-1 underdog. Are there any concerns on your part?
I don't know anything about that. I don't know nothing about numbers. I just know what I can do.
How about
kill this mother? Well, it. It's a fight. So whatever happens, happens.
Mike, why do you have to talk like that?
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you. Do you have a problem? Turn off your station.
You know what? I think we'll end the discussion right now.
Then we could.
You got it. Have a nice fight, Mike.
Off.
Mine, 10 toes down, ends don't lie, I need mines right now. I took my time, put it all on the line, swallow my pride and still can't be denied. I been about mine, 10 toes down, ends don't lie, I need mines right now. I took my time, put it all on the line, swallow my pride and still can't be denied. Heard pussy niggas talking, saying Kingston just an old nigga. 10 toes down, that nigga Kingston still fold niggas. Never been no hoe nigga, just watch the money tree grow big. And I be goddamn if I depend on hoes like a nothing ass little broke nigga. Ain't no respect, yeah the game switch. Most of these niggas be shameless. Type of niggas be ducking fights, but then put your hands on your main bitch, that's some lame shit. Same niggas that I came with, that CBD Marvin and FOFK say fucking nigga, that's the same flick. Wouldn't switch it up and wouldn't change shit. Fuck boys got the game bent, talking down like he can't be touched, but a nigga like me make it famous. Gotta follow up and get back to business. Got that hard white, that's that catchy grip and go all night just to stack commission. If I fall, might just have to slap the clip. And y'all sound live, but it's a fact of fiction. Full paper chase, that's my active mission. Stay hustle mode, never slacking with it. Stay on code about that action, nigga. Get the clapping, nigga. Just the 80s, baby. That's the crazy thing. Niggas quick to hop up on the gravy train, trying to rob my wave. I'm too wavy, man. And I never let a bitch nigga play me, man. 10 toes down, ends don't lie. I need mines right now. I took my time, put it all on the line, swallow my pride and still can't be denied. I been about mine, 10 toes down, ends don't lie. I need mines right now. I took my time, put it all on the line, swallow my pride and still can't be denied.